everyone. Welcome to HOA Fight Club. I would like to discuss my opinion on property managers and attorneys and how they are aiding and abetting boards to do fraudulent or criminal or unethical or illegal acts. And then in the end, they're held harmless because that's the contract they have with the board. So if you have a problem with a property manager or an attorney, you actually have to sue the association, and the association has to sue that person. But what I'm finding is, and I really don't think that this is really fair, is that because the attorneys and the property managers are held harmless, they make decisions for the association without permission of the board, or they advise the board wrong. So one example I have is this gentleman had put a concrete slab. The concrete slab, he didn't realize that there was, that they had to have a 5-foot grace period for a garden on the side, because other homeowners didn't have that. And so he copied his slab from everybody else's. Now he had put in a request for this to be done. And unfortunately, he did do this without the permission of the association, but he felt he was okay because so many homes had the same design that he was doing. So it would be unfair for people to hold him accountable if they're not holding everybody accountable. So if they want him to remove the slab or cut it back 2 feet or 3 feet, they should make everybody do it. So this is kind of what he's going through. But what I found was they had a hearing. I walked them through everything. This is what they're going to do. This is what you need to do. You know, you want to solve this. You don't want to leave this. You know, we want to get this solved. Now, the board put it off for months. You know, they didn't give him his right to be heard for quite a long time. So it's been a year since the slab has been in already. And then I have, you know, he had his appeal with the board, and he had requested an open board meeting because he wanted to make sure that the homeowners could see what was going on with his property, so that they could learn for it. So the board meeting started at 3. They did all the board business, and then at 4 o'clock was going to be the disciplinary meeting for this homeowner. Well, the attorney shows up. And the attorney, when questioned about this, said that he had a right to be there, but homeowners don't have a right to have an attorney there. So that's why he was there, and he's there all the time, you know, at different board meetings, and he does it for different reasons. But the ethics, the rules of professional conduct require that when you're doing a disciplinary action, that one, the attorney, if it's going to be there, he gives notice so that the homeowner can have an attorney too, which he did not do. And he had many correspondence. There was 3 letters, I think, before the hearing, or 2 or 3. So he just never notified the homeowner. He just didn't do it. And when he got there and the homeowner didn't have an attorney, his advice should have been, look, since you don't have an attorney, you have to give me permission to be here, which he did not do that either. So he just said, so when he wrote the letter back, in a letter, he quoted SB Liberty, which was a court case, but it really didn't pertain because SB Liberty wasn't talking about disciplinary actions. They were talking about an attorney could not show up, which is a Georgia law. The attorneys cannot show up in place of the homeowner. So they can come, they just have to be with the homeowner. And so the quotes he was doing, this attorney is quoting things and they're not true. So I did turn that over to the state bar. I feel that there's really an important need for these to be identified. This attorney does seminars all the time. His resume is 11 pages long. And so he should know better. He should know that due process is really important. And especially if he's going to quote case law to homeowners who have no idea what's going on. They just want to live in peace. They don't want to have to fight the board at all. And what I see is that attorneys, especially attorneys, that they take advantage of this because they know the board, if the board uses them, they're going to start billing the homeowner for that. If an association truly felt they were doing what's best for the homeowners and the association, they wouldn't try to add any extra fees because, like my case, the board spent $28,000 one year coming after me for a $50 fine. Is that reasonable? Is that doing what's best for the association? Now, they were planning on putting all that money on my account but they were wrong. They were doing it out of malicious intent. They weren't doing it as a reasonable board member. So in the end, this entire association had to pick up that $28,000 and the $38,000 from the year before and the $26,000 from the next year, because this board was rogue and it was costing us so much money. So I consider that aiding and abetting a board. If a property manager or an attorney sees that a board is doing something wrong, they should say, look, you need to do this right, or we will resign. We will give notice. We will not work for you because it would be unethical for us to do so. But instead, they don't. They just take advantage of it. They don't care. So they make money whether you care or not, or there's a lot of documents that governing documents that actually have that if the board's going to spend over $3,000 on attorneys, they actually have to get a vote of the people, and it has to be a majority vote of the people. But they just skip that stuff because until somebody knows what the CC&R say, they can get away with whatever they want. Most of the time I find that it's the board, the property managers and attorneys that are violating the governing documents. Look, a homeowner might break a rule, but if you don't give them the process that the governing documents calls for, a right to be heard or due process hearing or anything else that those documents say, if they say mitigation before you can go to court, then that board should have to do everything they can to mediate and get rid of this thing instead of charging attorney fees, because there's no guarantee that the homeowner is ever going to be able to pay those attorney fees. Yes, then they get to foreclose on your home. Is that really what's best for our associations, is foreclosing on people for a $50 fine for a paint job? I know one homeowner painted his house white and the neighbors have a white house, but he wasn't allowed to. And they've got almost $9,000 worth of bills attached to his account. And they've got a lien on his home and they will foreclose. This is a $50 fine for paint. He's repainted. They never asked him if he repainted. They just didn't care. They just kept fining him. So when is it actually doing their job, a reasonable duty? And when is it aiding and abetting in a fraudulent act? So that's something that we all need to think about. We need to use those words. And, George Starpoli really helped me understand that, these people are aiding and abetting a criminal act, a fraudulent act, and an ethical act, because they're not really doing what's reasonable and what's best for the association. Costing the association thousands of dollars in fees is not what's best. What's best is keeping everybody in their homes, everybody happy, everybody living in harmony. And that's the duty of the board. The board's biggest duty is to keep harmony in the community. And if they're fining people into foreclosure, which we see one in Colorado that's got 60 homes into foreclosure, because that's a rogue board. That's a huge, and an attorney and a property manager are aiding and abetting that board to do this malicious intent to the homeowners. That's not what's best for the association. All right, I'll see you on the next one.